And we are now recording. I first want to say thank you to Home Depot for, this is the second year that they have been open to talking with Wofford, and particularly Wofford students, about their internship program. We are excited today to have two guests from Home Depot, Natalie McNulty, who is the Senior Manager for Talent Acquisition, will kick us off with some conversations around the internship program and then open it up for some questions and answers. And then we also have a special guest, Courtney Howe. Courtney graduated from Wofford around the same time I did. And it is exciting for me to reconnect with her. Courtney is the Vice President of Home Services, and will be on to chat about her career at Home Depot and answer any questions about what it's like and those kinds of things. You all who are students on here saw the information that we sent out. Just in terms of background, Rebecca and I took a group of students to Atlanta last year to do this in person. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, we couldn't do that this year. It is one of the most impressive programs we have ever seen. And I am guessing Natalie will talk a little bit about that, but it is ranked nationally in terms of internship programs, and the percentage of interns who turn into Home Depot employees is also quite high. So I'm excited and hopefully we'll get some of our students in that program this year, and are happy to help foster that process along. So without any sort of further conversations from me, Natalie, you have the screen. So if you want to go ahead and jump in, that would be great.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kurt. And thank you guys for joining us. I'm sure this fall semester is not what you anticipated. I'm sure there are plenty of students who would have liked to come to our corporate headquarters in Atlanta. And so hopefully in the future, you'll be able to get the opportunity to do that again. But for now, we'll go ahead and kind of virtually walk you through the internship program before I toss it over to Courtney. So yeah, so like Kurt mentioned, we pride ourselves on our internship program that we've kind of closely refined and enhanced over the past few years. It is a nationally ranked program. It's 10 to 12 weeks. It's typically held in the summertime, anywhere from that like May to August timeframe. This past summer, we of course had to pivot and turn it into a virtual experience, but we were pretty proud of all of the components that we were able to keep to make it an engaging experience. We took a survey kind of every 2 weeks throughout the program as well as after, and of all of our returning interns, 100% said that they still found it valuable and a rewarding experience. And so the main things that we strive to promote throughout the program is meaningful work. I know when I was an intern back in the day, it meant like getting coffee and making copies. These are huge, huge global projects that our interns work on. They work on writing code, working on different softwares and programming. They are thinking through the way the company's structured and recommending process changes. They're developing apps. They are launching new programs. I had an intern this past summer on my team, and she was thinking through, a year-round program that we could potentially launch, was able to come up with the concept and the collateral and the rollout plan. So when I say it's meaningful work, it is work that we challenge our hiring managers to make sure really drives an impact in the business. So very proud of that component of the program. And then obviously we want to make sure that students are exposed to leadership. So each week they join what we call a Behind the Apron Leader series, where they get to hear from different leaders throughout the organization and learn about their groups and the talent that they look for, why they chose the Home Depot. They get to hear from our executive leadership team. So when we think about our CEO and his direct reports, they get to hear from that team on kind of what they think about retail in general and online, how those worlds collide, what our overall strategy is. It's quite honestly opportunities that not even every associate within the Home Depot gets all of the time. And so the internship is a really cool experience that all of our leaders are very passionate about. And I think that's one of the most appealing pieces of the program. And then components like professional development and mentoring are all very important. And that is something that interns get to experience weekly. Typically, when the internship program is in person, I think people are surprised to hear that we actually have corporate locations all over the nation. So obviously our main office is in Atlanta, but we have technology locations in Austin. We have technology offices in Dallas. We have some of our outside sales and service organization and THD Pro is down in the Jacksonville area. We have a government relations office in Washington, D.C., and we have interns that, work on Capitol Hill on behalf of the Home Depot lobbying for things. And so it's actually a pretty huge program, and not many people think that. They think about, our stores and what we can do there. And while that is obviously the heartbeat of our company, on the corporate side, there are lots and lots of opportunities to explore different areas. And so we have a video that I wanted to share, and I'm really hoping that this video plays. We don't use Zoom quite often, so I'm going to play it here in just a second. This is, these are field to SSC associates, or what we call them. Our program is split. Half of the group comes from external students, so students like yourselves who are in universities across the nation, and then half are actually our store, supply chain, and contact center associates who are also enrolled in school, but we also give them the opportunity to learn about the rest of the business and apply their skills. And so we have a video that they shared just about the experience this past summer that we thought might give you a better taste of what it looked like. So I'm gonna
I'm Alicia.
Hey y'all, my name's Daniel.
Hi, I'm Candace.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Andrew.
Hello, my name's Carlos.
My name is Alex.
Good morning, internship family.
Hey guys, I'm Melanie.
My name is Phantom.
Hi, I'm a field to SSC associate.
People who are coming from the field to the SSC to do an internship, if you are from the store, you've had experience that no one else has.
I have learned more this summer than I could have imagined.
The way Home Depot handles their internship structure has honestly been so beneficial, and I got to learn so much from it.
I was really impressed with how they were able to meld an entire intern experience into a virtual environment.
The development series, phenomenal.
We're also able to a virtual expo, which was really cool because we were able to understand all the different functions that happen within Home Depot. It's highlighted the different departments that we may be interested in.
I've been exposed to different departments that I never knew existed, which opens my options in my career path.
I support the Home Depot as a virtual kitchen designer with Design Connect.
I was a software engineer intern this summer with the API enablement team, and it was a ton of fun, learning this from experts and talented people in the company.
My project was with the Home Depot Protection Plan. If it comes to fruition, it will increase profits by $14 million. That's not a small project. That is a meaningful project.
Not only did I learn about cybersecurity at the Home Depot, but I learned about network, about communication, giving an elevator speech, emotional intelligence.
The culture, the people, the objectives, the mission, every shared on every level by everyone.
There's always so many resources if you ever need guidance or anyone to talk to.
Really enjoyed having the opportunity to learn more about resume writing, how to build your personal brand in your network, stuff that I had never even considered prior to this internship.
It's an invaluable experience, and I'm so happy that I did.
This internship was the greatest experience that I've probably ever had professionally in my life.
Bringing in that value from the store into the actual SSC, it's really important. People actually pay attention to you and what you have to say.
So for any of you,
So to anyone who
Is thinking about doing an internship at the Home Depot,
I'd say go for it.
go for it.
do it. Apply for it.
I would so recommend applying because this experience has been so worthwhile.
Home Depot is dedicated to training the future leaders of this company and beyond.
Home Depot, new way to intern.
So that kind of gives you just straight from our interns this past summer, a highlight of their experience. And though that was our field associates, we had the same exact sentiment from our external interns who came in as well, really not knowing what to expect of how a virtual internship would go. And I will tell you, while the virtual internship was kind of surpassed our expectations, it's obviously great to have it in person as well. And that's the number one question I've been getting right now as we are going through campus recruiting. So I will tell you, we have not yet made a company-wide decision. I just wanted to address that because we get that question all the time on whether this will be in person or whether it'll be virtual. We are leaning towards virtual, but we encourage everybody to apply, and we'll kind of fill you in on that process later. And so before we get into just a little bit more about the Home Depot, I did just want to mention, I know we ended with please apply today. We are in the midst of our campus recruiting season. And so from the August to November timeframe really is when we are looking for interns for summer of 2021. So this next summer. By December, we typically hire about 80% of our interns. And so if our Home Depot internship program is something that you're potentially interested in, please do apply. We look at talent anywhere from the sophomore level to the senior level. I think Kurt mentioned earlier, we have a pretty good conversion rate. So this past summer, I want to say we were around 71%. So that means that 71% of the students who interned with us received some sort of returning internship offer. So if you're that sophomore, junior level, or some sort of offer for an entry-level position with the company. So we highly recommend it as an opportunity to continue to build your career. And then just a couple things about the Home Depot, and I'm sure Courtney will touch on this in a minute when we hand it over. It's interesting because this is kind of where everybody goes. We are obviously the world's largest home improvement retailer, 22 plus 100 stores, 400,000 associates, 150 supply chain facilities. I actually think that's closer to like 180 these days. And then obviously 1 million plus HomeDepot.com online products, and that continues to grow. But what surprises students the most is all of the different ways and groups within the company that you can grow your career. We have a robust merchandising department, marketing, e-commerce and online group. Technology is huge. We have, a few thousand associates in our technology organization, and they tend to make up a good chunk of our interns every summer. But that is just a massive organization, and people don't necessarily think about that side when they think about a company like Home Depot. I get that you typically think of Google and you think of Facebook and those types of groups, but we actually write 90% of our code in-house at Home Depot. And so it's very hands-on. It's a very innovative group within technology. And then obviously finance and accounting, supply chain, operations, outside sales and service, and then the other groups that you typically think of like HR and corporate communications. And there's, even a legal department, which I was surprised when I joined the Home Depot. It's just not something that you think about. So there are a ton of ways that you can grow your career. And I think that's probably one of the best things that we offer. Not going to take you guys through our performance, but just kind of letting you guys know it's a strong company, obviously continues to outperform and continues to be innovative in all of the ways that they are prioritizing everything. And then awards that we're proud of. We actually just won a couple of these. So Forbes just gave us one of the top companies for employer diversity. We just also got, and we actually need to update it here, but best place for new grads to work. And so that's one obviously that we're pretty proud of, but wanted to share that with you guys as well. And then committed to a culture of inclusion. So we have associate resource groups at Home Depot, and everything that we do is guided by our values and a culture of inclusion, as well as a culture of innovation. So we have our internship program, but we have other really cool, we call them like pipeline programs that kind of bring talent into the Home Depot. We have a group called Orange Method. It's basically like an in-house, think about like a technology boot camp that we've built to partner with local universities. We have an innovation lab in downtown Atlanta where we're constantly testing ideas and new technologies and experimenting with that. And then we are working with universities around the nation with their innovation labs to test and refine ideas. And so we hope that you guys consider the Home Depot. And with that, I just wanted to open it up for any questions around the internship program or any career opportunities at the Home Depot. I can't see the chat. So Kurt, if you see.
Yep, I will watch the chat. And then also if you are a student and have a question, you feel free to unmute yourself and ask it.
Yep. And then as far as applying, if you go to careers.homedepot.com/campus, that's also a great resource where you can kind of learn about each group within the Home Depot. And then it links you directly to internship and early career opportunities that are currently posted and open within the company.
While we're waiting for students, if they have questions, Natalie, I'm going to ask one. When you are evaluating talent, what do you think are some of the characteristics that you're most looking for in applicants, and the percentage of what you're looking for on the resume, or what kinds of things would you give advice in terms of students who are either on this call or maybe watching later?
Yeah, and I hope I don't butcher it because I am by no means a recruiter, but I partner with the recruiters daily. So I feel like I have a good idea of what that looks like. I would say in your resume, just a couple tips, make sure that you are really tying back your experiences to how you can be a fit for the job and really quantifying the work that you do. And we tend to get a lot of questions about, well, I really don't have any experience. Everything that you're doing, whether it's a leadership position on campus or a part-time job that you have, really does count as experience. And it's all in how you translate it into your resume. Even if it's a part-time job at another retailer, whatever it is, like how many customers did you help? Was there any process improvement that you made? There's always a way that you can tie it back to kind of better show your experience. So we always recommend that. And then making sure, I would say being analytical is always a skill that we look for. Being a good communicator, those are probably the top things that we look for, but really in your resume, that's your opportunity to kind of highlight the work that you've done and be able to shine. We get lots of resumes that just have a couple bullets on there. And at that point, the recruiter's not going to call to find out more information. That's your one opportunity to kind of highlight your experience and how that ties back to the group or the position that you're applying for.
Thank you. I saw on your first slide where there were 12,000 applicants for 2020. So the idea of having your resume speak a lot is, I would think, is fairly critical.
Yep, absolutely.
Other questions?
Awesome. Well, no worries. If you guys think of any other questions, email, it's pretty generic. It's university_relations@homedepot.com. If you think of anything, or, we just think it's great that you joined this session. And I know there aren't many of you, so happy to talk to you and figure out where it is that you're interested in applying, or if you have any other questions about the program. So with that, I will hand it over to Courtney.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you so much, Natalie. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yes.
Got a thumbs up. Do you want me to just go ahead and start, Kurt, or did you have anything you wanted to say before, or just?
No, I'm happy for you to jump in. I mean, I think the hope is that you can talk a little bit about your journey from Wofford to Home Depot, and then I also think it's important to kind of think about what your experience has been at Home Depot, and maybe our students have some questions and that kind of thing.
Yeah, sure, no problem. I'll definitely get started. So first, I just say, again, a thanks to Natalie for being here today. And I know it's a small group. We've got folks in classes and other things going on. So maybe there'll be, a few more folks that watch it kind of after the fact. But, I don't have a great perspective on how all other kind of companies handled internship programs in 2020, but we all know it has been an interesting year for sure. I applaud, though, Natalie and all of our team that executes our internship program, because Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, because it was, is that me? I feel like
it's not.
It's not me.
Go ahead.
Somebody else is talking. You're pulling the mute button. But I would just say it was a phenomenal experience for folks this past year. We all worried as leaders, hiring interns, folks that were going to come, how are we going to do this? We're trying to navigate through the pandemic ourselves as just, running the stores and leading our own functions. And here we have all of these amazingly bright interns ready to kind of hit in May, as they do every year. And we're all going, how is this going to work? And it was flawless. And so would we have loved to have been together with them and had them in the office and done some? Sure, we would have. We would all love to experience more of that here in 2020. And it's just not been the year for that. But they would all tell you that they were able to connect with people. Natalie talked about being able to listen and learn and talk to leaders of the company. I always think that's I get lots of folks on my team who aren't in the internship program or didn't come through it, that it's like envy. Like they get our interns get such great exposure to just talk to people across the company. And so again, I really do applaud you, Natalie. We have not spoken probably since maybe last year. We were kind of doing this similar thing, but it all came off so well and the feedback was really positive. I know that video was a little hard to watch, but you could hear the sound bites for sure from the folks, and it was really well done. I have no doubt it'll be equally as good in 2021. And I was really proud that we were able to, as a company, make it work, when I'm sure there were probably other programs, companies where that was not necessarily something that could happen. But anyway, so that's the internship program. Again, Natalie opened herself up with the email address for any feedback and questions. And I do hope there'll be some interest. I know there was some last year, but we'll hope that we get a couple students maybe this year. So for me, as Kurt said, I'll just throw it out there. I graduated in '97 from Wofford, so close to Kurt, and I have an accounting degree, so that was my experience. I did not follow course as most accounting folks that with an accounting degree do. Go on to be a CPA, work for a CPA firm. But I came to work in Atlanta for a company, and I can't remember, Kurt, if you guys said they still recruit from there, but it was an industrial supply distributor called McMaster Car Supply Company, and they used to do recruiting every year at Wofford, and that's what I went to do. So I never did, I've never traditionally put my accounting degree to use a single day in its life. In the traditional accounting sense, what I learned was very applicable. I have those analytical skills that Natalie's referring to. I can certainly, understand finance and numbers and whatnot. So, but went and did that. It was in operations management. So it was very sexy, industrial supplies, got your steel toes. That was my first few years out of school, me, and there was another student from Wofford as well. And it was a wonderful experience. It was an experience to learn how to lead people, to learn how to think about process, to, they moved you kind of around the organization. And so I did that for a couple of years, from, shipping to marketing to the call center to just a couple of different things. But really early on got to lead groups of people. So it was a little bit intimidating to be 22 or 23 and, hey, here's a group of folks on a call center and 10 people are going to report to you, and they all know way more than you do and way more than you're ever going to know. And, we figured this out, but it was fantastic. I would say it's probably it was just a really great experience out of the gate. From there, I did, that was the late 90s. So I spent some time, I worked for an internet startup. That was back in the days when 1999, 2000, we were all going to go, do internet startups. And this thing called internet retail was this like, what the heck was this thing? But we're all going to go do it and be wildly successful. So we did that. I ran out of money. We ran out of money, not I, but the company. And then I moved on and I did consulting for a couple of years in a couple of different companies. And so I forget how many years of experience that gave me, but I had been in Atlanta, moved up to New York for my last kind of consulting role with my partner. And then we moved back to Atlanta a little over 18 years ago. And that is when I came to work for Home Depot. And I always admired Home Depot, always as a company. I will tell people I grew up as a child doing projects with my dad. I went to high school in Spartanburg, so right down the road from you, right where you are. I went to Dorman High School in Spartanburg, and then turned around and went to Wofford. And so, but I grew up. I went to Home Depot. I loved it. I loved everything product-wise. I loved what I could see. It's an Atlanta company, so I knew people that worked for it. I always admired it. And so I had the chance to join the company in, I guess it's 2002. So in about 2 weeks, it will be 18 years with the company. And I came here because for many reasons, but I did want a career. And I knew it was a place people came to have a career, meaning I'd been in a few places, 3 years, 2 years, I'd done a few of those things. Great experience. I wouldn't trade anything that I've done even before I came to Home Depot, but I really wanted to be somewhere where I could have some long-term growth, see the fruits of your labor over the long haul. So I did consulting for a few years, as I mentioned, and that's great experience. You see different companies, but you're like in for 6 months and then you move on. Or you go over here, you meet some people, it's fantastic, but you don't really see things kind of progress and the growth and you're not a part of it. And so I knew that was something I had peers, I had people that worked at Home Depot. And so I saw that, I admired it, and I wanted to be a part of it. And so when I got the opportunity, I joined in a rotational program that we had back then. First off, I had no retail experience. And so, Natalie was telling you kind of the qualities we look for in folks, and it is, right? You look for, we're not looking for somebody, sometimes we are, sometimes we're looking for a very specific technical degree, right? Or there's a very specific technical skill. If you want to be the controller of the company, you probably needed to have been a CPA in your lifetime, right? You probably need to have really good accounting chops. Like that's if you want to be legal, like Natalie said, you want to be a lawyer, you probably have gone to law school. But generally, when you look across a lot of areas of our business, and as Natalie said, we have them all. People think stores, and that's that's where we make our money. That's what we support. We are very committed to our stores, but there are roles that are outside of the stores. But you have the stores, you got to do a lot to move product into those stores. So we have a really world-class supply chain. So we have distribution centers all over the country. If you're going to put something in the store, you got to pick what you're going to put in the store and decide what of the 40,000 SKUs you want to sell, the 40,000 products in a store. There's a merchant who's going to decide what you're going to buy. My favorite time of year is the holidays. There's a merchant. For any of you who have seen the 12-foot skeleton that was in our holiday assortment for Halloween, I have one in front of my house. Big Halloween fans. Oh, yes, that's right. We were just talking about that as we started the call, our Halloween decorations. But there's a merchant who figures that out. There's a merchant person who goes overseas right now, actually. They'll be going overseas in January. They're going overseas now. Now, I don't know in the pandemic how we're doing that. I should probably, I'm not exactly sure. Maybe we're doing Zooms. But they will go overseas or they will go wherever and they will source product. They will go to domestic facilities. And so you're a merchant. That's what you would do. And so there's so much that goes in. And then online, right? We all know how powerful online is for us. I'm sure we've all, it feels like every other day there's a box, landing at my house, or every other day groceries are coming now from Instacart. And so the world of retail is so much different now. And y'all know this because you shop online and you shop in different ways and multi-channel and interconnected and whatever it is. But there's a lot of things that go into supporting it. So our stores are massive. We have hundreds of thousands of associates supporting those 2,200 stores across Canada, the US, and Mexico. We have thousands, tens of thousands of distribution associates. Same thing on all those other functional areas I described. But I describe all that to say, you don't have to be a retail expert, or you don't have to be an expert necessarily in some of those areas I described to come to Home Depot, because what Home Depot will give you is the opportunity to build a career. And for me, I came in what was called our store, the lights are coming on and off, sorry, in the store leadership program. That program is long since come and gone, but it was a development program essentially targeted to hire folks, give you 2 years of rotating around the business and then become a store manager. Because at that time we were opening like a store every 48 hours. Like we're not in aggressive growth mode on a store footprint now. As you can imagine, most retailers are not. You're seeing retail locations close as you determine how to use your assets a little bit differently. But in those days, it was stores were hundreds of stores a year. I actually never did become a store manager for various reasons. But that's what I was hired in to do. But over my experience of 18 years, I have done some stuff store related. I spent time in our division called HD Supply. We sold that division back in 07, I think, late 07. But it was kind of our business to business part of the business. So it wasn't the store that you walk into and cash and carry as a retail consumer. It was more to our business our professional business partners. But I did that for a few years. Then I went into merchandising, and I spent some time doing kind of systems and process and just operational support for our merchandising team. So again, that team I just described that determines, we're going to sell this mouse and we're going to sell this cup or whatever. We would help with the process and again, the systems and tools they needed. So a little bit of IT, a little bit of operations, and kind of across the board. And then I spent some time in our internal audit group. And so for those of you that are getting accounting degrees, audit may sound familiar. I was probably the closest I ever came to using my audit degree, my accounting degree in its most traditional sense, but I did IT audit. I'm not an IT person. I don't have an IT background, but I have a lot of experience working with system implementations. So I did IT audit, and then I spent some time with our Canada and Mexico division. Doing all of their kind of audit functions. And about 3.5 years ago, I had the opportunity to come over into home services. And so that's the division for Home Depot that if you were going to get carpet installed, if you were to walk into our show or into a store today and purchase carpet and want it installed in your home, it would be our business unit that would help facilitate that. So we work with service providers out in the community, right? The labor that actually does the install and all the things that need to support that. Doesn't matter, all the roles. I think I actually had to total this up for something not too long ago, but I want to say it's been like 13 unique positions in 18 years. I've always been in Atlanta. So as Natalie said, we have locations all over the place. Atlanta is our kind of store support center, is our corporate headquarters, if you will, but we do have facilities everywhere. But I have been here the whole time and had just a tremendous amount of opportunity to grow from breadth of what we do as a company in different areas, to promotional opportunities along the way, to expand, your leadership, scope and responsibilities has been phenomenal. The company is I can't remember, Natalie, if you showed this slide, but we talk a lot about being a values-based company. We have, 8 core values that that are extremely important to us. They're on, this is a picture of me in my apron, which, by the way, there's nothing worse than having to talk on this and you just see your pictures big right in front of you the whole time. Not only see yourself talking, but you see a picture too. It's like a double whammy. But on our aprons, we have our core values wheel, and it's things like giving back. We care deeply about the communities that we serve. We want to be a part of those communities. We think, and the thing that would probably make the most sense is if you think about a community where a disaster might hit, a hurricane hits the coast. We want to be, and we are, first in. We have our stores opened up immediately. We have our associates in working to help diligently to help a community recover, or giving back in ways to local charities and things in the community that are important to the stores and where they are. Other core values are building strong relationships. It's extremely important to us. We are, relationships mean not just the people you work with and the peers or the people that might work, on your team or for you, but the building relationships in those communities I described, building relationships with our service, our vendors that we do business with. This is, we are very much about relationships and that being core to our success. Entrepreneurial spirit is another thing, right? We're a big company and you might go, God, it's like moving the Titanic. Yes and no. I mean, we are $100+ billion company. That is not, that's not a drop in the, that's huge. But you can make, when Natalie talked about the intern projects, there was a gentleman that said, if you implement my project, it's 14 million, I think is what he said, of incremental sales or dollars, margin dollars. It was the 14 million. There are companies that are not 14 million in revenue. And his one project, it doesn't take much to make a really meaningful impact when you look at the size and scale of what we have. So it's a big company, but you can be extremely entrepreneurial. You can be extremely, you can look at the fruits of your labor. You can go, oh, there's some, and there's still low hanging fruit. As good as, being a 40+-year-old company and being the size that I just said, there's still stuff every day. We're like, God, we could do that better. And we could do this better. And what if we did that? And so it's fun. It is fun to be able to see that. So that's another one of our core values. It's been since the start. The way we think about entrepreneurial spirit is maybe a little different today than it was when you were 5 years in and we had 20 stores. very different, but the spirit of that is alive and well, and we think about it, talk about it all the time. Taking care of our people is another one. I could go on and on. The year of 2020 there, and I won't go on too much because I will open up for questions, but you can tell I get really passionate talking about the company. Taking care of our people. There were things during all of this year's pandemic where we did the right thing to take care of our associates. And you can go and you can look at, you can look at our earnings reports and, from Q2, and we talk about that as a company, but like we always, we care deeply about our associates and making sure we are doing the right thing, and making sure we're taking care of each other. And that means a lot. And so you would be hard pressed. I don't even think you could walk down the halls of the SOAR Support Center where I'm at today. First, you walk down the halls, there's nobody here today because we're all working remote. I just came today to make sure I had it doesn't matter. I had something I had to be here for today, but you could walk down the halls and there's not a single person that you wouldn't talk about our core values, and they'd be able to rattle them off, understand them, tell you how important they are and what they mean to them. And so that's really important. I mean, I think it's really special to me, and it's special to folks who have stayed. And it is those things that make, it is the career opportunities. It is those values. It is, and it's been a winning great company, but it's all those things that I feel really proud. You can kind of just barely see the patch down there. We all get a little patch every year that goes on our aprons of how many years we've been here. And I'm so proud to be 18, or soon to be 17 right now, soon to be 18, but you will walk down the hall and it's nothing to see a 25-year badge or a 30-year badge. I remember when I started and I got my 1-year badge and I was so proud, so excited, but I felt really defeated because everybody on my team was like 15 and 18. And it's not like they're 15 years in the same position and feel stale or not. They're 15 years and they've had a plethora of opportunities, people who've moved all over the country with the company. And so, so again, those are the things that I'm passionate about. That's been my kind of journey here. It's a company that you don't necessarily have to have. We're not looking for somebody who's got a retail degree. I don't even know if there is such a thing. Maybe there is, Natalie, but not at Wofford. There's not a retail degree. But you don't have to have that. You don't have to come in here knowing all that. Certainly we hire people that have some of that background in their, on their resume, but not necessary. So Kurt, I guess I'd take a breath because I could just keep talking and rattling on and on. And if there's any questions, happy to answer or provide any more commentary.
Let's hear from students. What kind of questions would you have for Natalie or Courtney? And Courtney, I appreciate you sharing that. I think the idea of 13 different opportunities in 17 years is really a testament to the ability at Home Depot to move around, and that's exciting. So what
I would say too, before questions, I would just say Wofford, and I don't have to sell y'all on Wofford because you're already there and you're already here. You've made that decision. But it does prepare you really well for those, you guys, I know all the various degrees and whatnot, Kurt, that you have. I probably don't even know what they all are now. I'm sure it's way different 25 years later or whatever, but really gives you a great foundation and preparation for, for a world in business if this is something that you're interested in. Which I imagine if you're on the call, you are.
Good deal. Students, what questions? You can either unmute yourself and ask them or put them in the chat and I will read them out and ask. So let's see if we can't have a question or two.
So for like the internship program, how do you guys manage relationships between other interns that are working there at Home Depot?
You mean how do you get to interact with other interns?
Yeah, is it more so the interns are there to just talk with other leaders, or are they interacting with each other while they're working there?
Yeah, they absolutely do both. And I will tell you, this is definitely a company where Courtney mentioned our values and building strong relationships. I think that's such an important value because it really takes working collaboratively at Home Depot to get things moving, as you can imagine, a company at this scale. And so in the internship, you're not only working with your direct manager, you're working with other leaders or other people within the company that all have a vested interest in the project that you're potentially working on. So from a business perspective, yes, you absolutely get to hear from leaders, but you get to interact with different people within your group or within different departments. And then from an intern perspective, we never want anybody to feel like they're on their own. So our interns are part of mentoring circles where they are paired up with like 8 other interns, and that's kind of like their buddy system throughout the summer. There's opportunities for them to just kind of network with each other. This summer, we also, we get the virtual fatigue. And so we wanted to keep people excited. We did a weekly game day on Thursday afternoons for an hour where they were kind of broken out with other interns to do trivia or whatever that might be. So definitely lots of opportunities built in. We heard from so many interns who said, like, this is amazing, even just for the fact that I have like built-in people that I can now reach out to as they embark upon their career journey. So that's definitely something that we consider.
Yeah, and I'll just speak from having interns on our team every single year. And like last year for services, we had 4, and they all knew each other really well. It's like they are like at the hip, maybe different projects. I think 2 were on one project together and the other 2 had independent projects, but they know each other. And then I roll up into that slide that Natalie showed earlier with like, I think 8 boxes. I get stuff popping up with 8 boxes of functional areas. I roll up into kind of even a bigger group, and I want to say we had like 15 interns, and they all knew each other. So don't ever feel like you're on an island as this intern working with this like group of 20 Home Depot full-time associates. You'll get to know each other. And then when it's not virtual, the team does a great job of having some like social gatherings. And again, I don't know what 2020 will hold for us all, but, you know, happy hours or go see a Braves game, or, you know, there's lots of other things that, you know, as you look at the bigger and bigger group, they really do a nice job of pulling together. So you can network amongst a lot of other students who are going to be placing out or maybe coming to work at Home Depot. Maybe they're not, but I'm going to tell you one of the best pieces of advice is I'd give you as you know, entering the workforce is those relationships and those networks and those ones that you develop really early on will stay with you for a long time. And so you get this opportunity to be with some really amazing people, not just the people you're having to work to, not the, you know, not me, not the old person, you know, that you know, you get exposure to the full team. So it's a good question, Sandy.
That was a great question. Thank you. Other questions?
I have a question for Courtney if people are still thinking of their questions. What kept you at Home Depot? What keeps you at Home Depot? And then also specifically for your group, just because we have you on this call, what skills do you look for? I know that varies, but like we have generality skills that we look for when we're recruiting, and obviously it really differs based off of the group and the hiring manager. So I'm just curious if you can share that with the students.
Yeah, maybe a couple things. So just what keeps me here, again, like I said, I've been to a few places and I wanted to be somewhere to build a career. I love, and I mean this the most genuine, I feel like I'm like doing like a sales pitch for, I love the people we work with, and I have always worked for great leaders that I have had the opportunity to learn from. You know, another piece of advice I give people is we do a lot of mentoring at Home Depot, like people giving, you know, spending time with maybe associates who are a little newer in their career, but I've made moves sometimes so that it's the right time to go learn from a new leader. I always say you go work for a leader and you love these 10 things about them, but maybe there's 1 or 2 things that weren't your favorite, but like you learn from leaders and they help you become a better leader. So I think we just have a great people. It's a great company. And then at the end of the day, there's just opportunity, Natalie. I mean, it's not like when I look for what's my next role that I have to leave the company to get that growth. I have been fortunate that growth opportunity so that you're stimulated and you're growing and you're interested. And, you know, I say people at Home Depot who have a real deep, genuine curiosity. I mean, I'm always the one in the room that goes, I'm going to ask the dumb question. And I'm going to ask the dumb question, you know, like, but a real deep curiosity to understand is so important. If I'm going to, you know, interview somebody again, there's not probably anybody on the phone here. Maybe there is, but, you know, I could interview a ton of people and they've not worked in the services business. I didn't come from what we would call the trades, right? I didn't come from, you know, an install background. But I'm super curious about the industry and super curious about, well, how does it work? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what it is. You can put your process mind to work, or you can put your analytical skills to the test, and your communication, like you said, there's not a lot of roles here where it's like heads down and you're in your cube or your officer or your whatever. You have to be, we service customers, right? You do have to have a deep passion, and that customer can be, like, if I'm interviewing somebody, something I want to know is like a servant leader, a passion to help your customers, and to help our customers can be our store associates, right? It's how do we make the jobs easier for the store associate? Or if you're in the store, do you have a passion for helping a customer? Do you walk into a customer? Do you lean into the customer, or do you go hide behind? Now, you've been in plenty of stores where you do see somebody kind of go walk, maybe not approach the customer. So anyway, so that's why I've stayed. What we would look for, Natalie, it's a great question. I do think the analytical nature, I think you're right on, spot on with communication. You're going to need to present that when you interview. Every time you're going to have to communicate, you're getting calls from the stores, calls from the field. You're having, particularly now in the Zoom environment, we've all got to get together, and you got to be comfortable, communicating with the team. But those are some of the things we look at. I do, leadership is good. And Natalie, you hit on it earlier. We were talking is like, when you think about the experience you bring to the table, it may not be, I played volleyball at Wofford. And so I didn't have a job per se. I did have jobs in the summer and I had intern programs, but like I developed, I feel like, some leadership skills in that environment, right? And so there are things you're doing every day, whether it's an on-campus club or whether it's in sports. Samuel, I see tennis rackets, I think, hanging up behind you. So I'm not sure, you might be a tennis player. But whatever those things are, making those pop off the page, because we do want leaders. We do want people who can come in and immediately make an impact. And I don't mean like be aggressive and like but be a part of the team and lead. And whether you're leading direct people and they're reporting to you, or you're just leading cross-functionally, or you're getting on a call and you're leading the discussion, but you're being prepared for all those things now. And I do think, to Natalie's point, make sure you are selling yourself as you come in as a, right out of school and kind of for those first jobs, because there's a ton of things you're doing that are so applicable. So any questions? Were there any other?
Any other student have a question?
Anybody want to move to Atlanta? You want to be in Atlanta for Natalie?
I live in Atlanta.
You do? Oh, good. What part?
Well, City of Atlanta proper. My county is called City of Atlanta.
Yeah.
And I do have a question. So I heard you guys say that 80% of the interns that you guys come to work for Home Depot are hired. I was just wondering how many of them end up going to grad school, and how does like Home Depot accommodate people who also want to go back to school while they're working?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know that we necessarily track like who we hire and if they go to grad school, but I can tell you that we have a great benefit called tuition reimbursement. And so we have, I want to say, the last I checked, because we use the reporting to be able to like promote the program to people in school, obviously. I want to say those 6,000 associates that were taking advantage of that benefit. And so I don't remember the exact dollar amounts. I don't want to give you misinformation, but the company does match part of the tuition and cover those costs, or whether it's books or whatever. So they highly promote ongoing learning. I would say ongoing learning is one of the parts of the job for everybody that works at the Home Depot. We have an entire learning department that focuses on like just continuing to better educate our associates and making sure that they're better leaders. And so definitely, I would say we're huge advocates for learning, and tuition reimbursement is probably the best benefit that we have for that. So I know that answers your question, but yeah, we don't necessarily track how many interns go on to do further education, but we do have a lot of associates that do.
I've had many associates on our teams over the years that are, doing an evening MBA program or an executive MBA or whatever it is, or that definitely take advantage of that. And if you happen to be in Atlanta, lots of great academic institutions. available. But again, that's a benefit to all of our associates across the entire country.
Any other questions? I want to particularly thank Natalie for your time and support with this, both this year and last year. That's super helpful. Courtney, also thanks to you. It's always good to reconnect and hear about your story. We will post this online. Students, know that Rebecca and I are happy to help get your resumes right, help think through some of the ideas that Natalie mentioned. Would love to know if you decide to apply. That would be helpful information for Rebecca and I to know. And then also,
yeah, because you joined this session. So if you apply, let us know so that we can say like, hey, these people went out of their way to join a session. We're happy to help.
Yep,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And if there are no other questions, I'm gonna click off the record right now.